A lot is going on in the world today, and we'll be talking about that here on Pod TV and the World Edition. Trump says ceasefire still intact after bursts of violence with Iran. So that is something that is being reported, and all along those lines. So Trump insists ceasefire holds despite exchange of fire. U.S. military said to strike empty tankers trying to break Iran blockade. An exchange of fire near Strait of Hormuz, and U.S. monitors antivirus passengers. So that is something that folks are talking about as well. Cyber attack on Canvas platform impacts schools and universities nationwide. So definitely there has been a Canvas hack impacting thousands of schools around the nation and even nationwide, as I was saying earlier. Cyber attack disrupts swaths of U.S. universities and schools nationwide. So Canvas online learning platform disabled after a breach by hackers. Utah-based tech company infrastructure hacked, affecting millions of users globally. So that is definitely something we'll be talking about, as definitely a lot's going on in studies and all in that space. Starmer's Labour suffers huge losses as hard right reform gains in UK elections. So Starmer says he won't quit after local elections deliver losses for Labour and wins for the opposition parties and all along those lines. Sir John Curtis says election results show politics in the UK has fragmented. And who reports hantavirus outbreak on MV Hondia's cruise ship? So definitely some people, including the New York Times, are saying here's how freaked out you should be about the hantavirus cruise ship. So the latest update is 5 states are monitoring cruise ship passengers for potential outbreak and everything like that. So race to trace passengers who disembarked before the outbreak. So definitely they're trying to get this under control. Dr. Mark Siegel says the hantavirus cruise outbreak is alarming, but fear is spreading faster than the facts. An Indonesia volcano, Mount Tucano, erupts on Halmahera Island. Mount Tucano, multiple hikers killed, others rescued after volcano erupts in Indonesia. Indonesia searches for 3 hikers missing in the volcanic eruption. So it kills 3 as a search for 20 missing hikers is underway. So that's definitely something that folks are talking about as well. UAE responds to Iranian attacks as fragile ceasefire is challenged in that part of the Middle East as well. So that's definitely something that folks are talking about. Also, we'll be hearing a lot more about that as that goes on as well. So lots going on in that space, and always glad to be covering these stories for a number of folks, including Pod TV. North Korea's new nuclear capable warship poses fresh threat to South Korea and the U.S. North Korea says it will deploy new artillery guns targeting Seoul. The North Korea leader Kim inspects artillery that can hit the South Korean capital. So definitely that is something that folks are talking about as well. And a bear kills a woman in Japan. 2 more deadly attacks are suspected, and 3 women with alleged ISIS links are arrested in Australia. 2 ISIS-linked women facing slavery charges after returned to Australia. So 3 women linked to the Islamic State arrested in Australia on return from Syria. So that is something that folks are talking about as well. And alarmed ASEAN leaders discuss crisis plan to mitigate backlash from the Middle East war. So Southeast Asian leaders seek strategy to ease the impacts of the Iran war. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. And Russia in no mood for celebration on Kremlin's biggest day of the year. So this is actually usually, according to them, Freedom Day and all along those lines. But they're in no mood to celebrate, and definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. Meeting Matyar, the Ukrainian drones boss, raining on Putin's parade. So in BBC, Rosenberg says Russia's Victory Day parade with no tanks assigned Ukraine war is not going according to their plan. And Zelensky is warning Russia's friends against attending the parade. So dueling Victory Day ceasefires for war in Ukraine collapsed almost immediately. So Russia, Ukraine trade fire and blame despite Victory Day ceasefire. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And NASA era guns and Iranian weapons captured Hezbollah arsenal exposes rearmament. So Iran accuses U.S. of breaching ceasefire with Strait of Hormuz attacks. And after Beirut strike, Netanyahu says no immunity for militants. Ukraine sends mass drone attacks on Moscow as Russia's unilateral ceasefire takes effect. So definitely this ceasefire is going on, and we'll see how long it goes and how effective it is. More than 50 Moscow-bound drones were intercepted by Russia, their mayor says. So Ukrainian drone hits upmarket Moscow high-rise ahead of the Victory Day celebrations. And Vilsik, Germany, a town over on edge over U.S. troop withdrawal. So a small town in Germany braces for end to decades of life with U.S. troops. Germans are not panicking over Trump's troop threats, according to the New York Times, and definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. A super El Nino is likely to form this year, and a super El Nino in 2026 could bring more rain to Oklahoma. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. So that's going on in that space and along those lines. So a lot taking place in that way. I see Rick's joined me. I see Lee Newton Rhodes is in the background. He's listening. He'll join us in a little bit as well. Super El Nino could bring record temperatures and UK weather chaos, says experts. And Venus Benel, not a court, the president says, after readmitting Russia. Israel pavilion artists made legal threats before Venus Benel jury resigned. So artist strike closes pavilion at Venus Benel, adding to the upheaval in that space. And most Magyar voters against Hungary aiding Ukraine and split on Kyiv's EU bid, according to a poll there. Trump may be a liability and Orban is gone, but Europe's far right is not in decline. Hungary's incoming prime minister plans a regime change celebration to mark Orban's departure. And Labor says it lost the Senate election and Ilined Morgan could be out. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And as I reported yesterday, China hands suspended death sentences to two former defense ministers. So that's definitely something going on as well. I'm going to get to some U.S. news, but I'm going to bring in Rick, see what he's got going on. And like I said, we've got Lee Newton Rhodes in the background, but I don't think his camera's on or anything like that. But a lot's going on in the world, as always. Of course, people are getting ready for Mother's Day and graduations because that's going to take.
Have you talked about Have you talked about the jobs report yet?
I have not. Get to that and tell them about the jobs report.
All right. So numbers for April came out today, and the U.S., according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, added 115,000 jobs, exceeding expectations of 65,000 jobs. Now, if you go on X, you will see a lot of people saying, yeah, but give it 2 months to see what the revised job numbers are, because along with April numbers, they revised February downward by 23,000 and March up by 7,000. So at this point in Trump's presidency, a lot of people are skeptical about the initial numbers. Yep. But it's a decent number for Trump, not a decent number for Biden. Under Biden, we averaged about 200,000 jobs a month.
Well, the other thing that's been big news is redistricting, and apparently Tennessee legislators approved a new congressional redistricting map. So anger mounts after Tennessee Republicans redrew a map to split only black majority districts, and Shelby County voters may be in a new congressional district. So definitely looks like they are splitting up the districts in that area. So Tennessee lawmakers are calling for Memphis to secede over redistricting.
Tennessee had one Democratic majority district out of, 8 or 9. And a week after the Supreme Court said, yeah, you can get rid of that, they split it up into 3 different districts. So Tennessee now has 0 majority Democratic districts.
Yeah. And
now, if you're playing by fire, if people are pissed off enough, Tennessee, if they took one district that was 60-40 Democratic and turned it into 3 districts that are, or absorbed it into 3 districts that are 55-45 Republican, if people are pissed off enough, if enough Dems show up, they can flip some of those districts. We'll see.
Speaking of flipping districts, apparently Iowa is ruby red, but a Democrat there is wearing the Republicans anyway. So Democrats are daring to dream of Iowa and the ruby red farm state that is now a political background. So it looks like Democrats looking for a foothold in Iowa midterm elections. So that would be a shocker because it is definitely a very Republican-leaning state. But there is a candidate that apparently has a chance of flipping that and everything like that. And it looks like Marco Rubio did meet with the Pope amid the U.S. Vatican tensions. So we'll hear, and the MS Now said we can trust that Marco Rubio heard this message from Pope Leo loud and clear. So Rubio visits the Vatican amid those escalating tensions and late night
So, yeah,
recap.
one thing that people have noted, including Kimmel last night, Marco's nickname given to him by Trump is Little Marco because Marco Rubio might be 5'8", maybe 5'9". The Pope is like 3 inches shorter than Rubio. And Kimmel's joke was the Pope is small enough to be one of those saints you stick on your dashboard.
Looks like the State Department is also going to be revoking passports for unpaid child support. So I guess if you didn't pay your child support, you might get your passport revoked and everything like that. So the U.S. says it's going to begin revoking passports of parents who owe child support. So I guess if you've been in a custody dispute and you don't have paid your child support, you may not be able to travel anywhere in the country and everything like that. So that's a new thing that Trump apparently is implementing.
All right. So you know what? Thinking about our tiny Pope, who's probably 5'6", that's a good thing because smaller people live longer. Your heart, it's easier on your heart to pump blood through a little tiny body than a big tall body. So if you like the Pope, his height may get him another. It's like we always get a smaller dog because smaller dogs, you get more years out of. They live longer on average than like a German Shepherd or a Malamute or something. And so we might have like a toy poodle of a Pope who might get into his 90s if we're lucky.
Yep, he might get into his 90s or something like that. I was hearing that Trump lost another battle. The U.S. Trade Court ruled against Trump's global tariffs. So Trade Court rules Trump's 10% global tariff is illegal. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as Trump's attempt to impose these new 10% tariffs got struck down by a panel of judges. So he's got some judges on his side, but apparently these were not on his side. And Supreme Court's Voting Rights Act is citing misleading data from the Department of Justice.
So I'm excited by that tariff ruling where I will buy my wife little tchotchkes from places. And I got a couple things coming to her from France, right? And France has a tariff, but we have a 10% tariff with France. And it's not just the tariff, and it used to be, and before Trump, that if you bought something worth less than $800 from a foreign country, you didn't have to pay any like customs tariffs, anything on it. But that went away, and it makes things a pain if you like buying little junk from other countries. And they don't just hit you with the 10%. If I buy my wife something for $25, that would be $2.50 I have to pay. But there's also a $30 fee to do the math on it. So anyway, I'll be able to. Anyway, fine. It's Mother's Day.
Well, I also see that Trump drove across the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool to inspect the new blue coating that he's putting on it. So they see me rolling Trump survey. Empty Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool renovation. So I know he's got the renovations going with the ballroom, but apparently he's also renovating the pool as well. So he took a motorcade into the reflecting pool and blasted past
Which is like
$38 million disaster effects under Obama, and he exploded.
Right. So what the hell? Okay, that's crazy town a little bit in that Trump hired. So the reflecting pool, I guess, hasn't been looking great. Trump hired a swimming pool contractor to repair the cracks and then painted a bright blue, right? But if you're concerned about cracks, why are you driving 3 or 4 vehicles into the pool? And though these are not normal vehicles, these are vehicles that probably weigh, close to 20,000 pounds each because they're bulletproof. The windows in a presidential SUV, they're not your 1/4-inch glass. They are some kind of plexi sandwich that's fully an inch thick that can stop, bullets coming out of, going 3,000 feet a second.
Yeah, so definitely he can do that.
So why is he driving them into a pool where you're concerned about cracks?
Yeah, and we've got Lee Newton Road said he was driving. He just wasn't not able to jump on. He was just listening and everything like that. So we do appreciate him listening. The Trump administration has begun releasing declassified UFO files. So this is something. So the presidential unsealing and reporting system for the UAP encounters pursue. So apparently the Pentagon is releasing files on UFOs with no green man, but lots of new hints. So the Trump administration is announcing release of never before seen UFO files. So maybe we're finding little green men or other things.
Or maybe they would release the other 3 million Epstein files that have yet to be released. And oh, no, they're going to release some UFO bullshit. All right, we haven't been visited by aliens. I would bet $500,000 that we have not. That the physics of the universe of the galaxy is such that it's entirely unlikely. The closest star is 4 light years away. We couldn't even get, with current technology, we couldn't get a spaceship to go maybe more than 1% of the speed of light, which means that the closest star to us is 400 years away. And okay, so and any like civilization, say, we've had a civilization for about 10,000 years. Say you've got a civilization on some other planet that's 1 million years old and they have super high tech. Maybe they can travel 10% of the speed of light. That still puts the nearest star 40 years away. And if they have the technology to get to nearby stars, are they going to use it, or are they going to stay home and do computation? Which is happening.
You're not believing this thing, Rick, that some people say that there are aliens living among us and everything like that. I've even had some friends that have claimed that they are part of the alien DNA and everything like that.
I don't buy it. I do not buy it. The one argument I do buy is that it's possible, not likely, and really there are too many variables to say, is that maybe some of our DNA is DNA that drifted across the galaxy from some other place. Like we have little meteorite fragments from Mars. A meteorite crashes into Mars and it sends out a bunch of debris, and some of that debris lands on Earth. So
Lee Newton Rhodes wants to know, have you met his in-laws? I don't know, maybe he's saying that they're aliens because
they're aliens. Yeah. Sure, but I'm just, why would any civilization that's 1 million years old be interested in us? Anything they could find out from us, they could find out by staying home and simulating life on other planets, which is what
and everything like that. By the way, the judge Trump is not having a lot of victories, because this also says the judge is ruling DOJ's cuts to humanities grants were unconstitutional. So they ruled that his cancellation of humanity grants was unconstitutional and are unlawful and troubling. So that's a loss that he has. And now DeSantis is saying Alcatraz immigration detention center, I guess, was always supposed to be temporary. So now they're discussing closing Florida's alligator Alcatraz. So definitely this is something people are talking about, the possibility of leaving that. And you mentioned Epstein earlier. Apparently the judge unsealed the purported Jeffrey Epstein suicide note. So it's been released by a federal judge a couple of days ago and everything like that. And they're saying that more documents could follow, but they did unseal his purported suicide note.
So if alligator Alcatraz is temporary, that's $1.5 billion that has not been well spent. Okay, so Epstein attempted suicide before he actually committed suicide, if you believe he committed suicide. So this is a note that was grabbed by his cellmate after a previous suicide attempt by Epstein. And people tend to believe it's authentic because there are a couple phrases in it that he's seen to be using in emails to people. So I guess overall it adds credence to the idea that maybe he really did kill himself, and it wasn't him being killed.
Hey, this is another interesting one. Apparently, the USPS has got a proposal that would allow handguns to be sent through the mail. And this is another Trump administration where he's pushing to allow firearms to be delivered by USPS, so the United States Postal Service. So I guess if you're mad at somebody, you can mail them a gun, because this would actually undo a 100-year-old rule. So what are your thoughts around this, that you could actually, I guess, order a gun and have it mailed through the mail service and everything like that? So they're now mulling the idea of allowing handguns to be shipped through mail.
I don't love it. We're at the point where there are now an average of 2 guns for every adult American. We have 250 adult Americans. We have close to 500 million guns. It seems like something that would, I would hope there would be thorough rules that everybody involved in the transaction has had a background check, that it's not one of those gun show loopholes where you can show up at a gun show and maybe get a gun without a background. I'm not familiar with all the laws. I didn't know that you can't use USPS to mail guns.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, but apparently it's been a rule that's been there for a while. You will be glad to know, or maybe people that are Trump fans will, that he has extended the European Union trade deal to July 4th. So he's extending it to our 250th birthday and everything like that. So Trump sets 2-month deadline for EU to enact a trade deal. So he's given the EU until July 4th to ink a deal extending the deadline. So Trump threatened the EU with much higher tariffs, even though trade deal is signed by the new deadline.
All right. Well, so I don't know how that comports with the ruling that just struck down his 10% global tariff.
Yeah, they seem contradictory, but it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, and he probably won't win that. By the way, Governor Kathy Hochul is there in New York, and I know that's where Lee Newton Rhodes is, announced a $268 billion New York budget deal. So it includes a new second home tax. So if you want to get a second home, you might get a tax and everything like that. So Governor Hochul says pencils down. Albany Democrats say not so fast. So she announced her agreement on the fiscal year 2027 state budget. So some people are saying it's a good budget. Some people are saying it's a bad budget, but that's a lot of money, $268 billion for the state of New York.
All right, but like 20 million people live in the state of New York. So I think it's our 3rd or 4th biggest state, probably 4th. You got California first with 40 million. Then you got, I think, Florida and Texas with 29 and 21 million. So that puts, I was looking up. All right. Anyway, I'm over on Drudge seeing what else is going on here.
And it looks like you're looking that up. It looks like the cruise industry has got some bad news. Disney cruise staffers were among those detained in San Diego, so in your neck of the woods. So Disney cruise ship passengers says ICE detained her waiter upon disembarking. So 27 detained in San Diego cruise ship CSAM operation. So dozens of cruise ship workers, including from Disney, linked to child pornography is what the feds are saying. So it looks like they were doing a bus. Disney cruise staffers arrested in child sex abuse material probe as passengers watched them escort.
All right, so this wasn't just ICE harassment, because if you're on the vast majority of workers on cruise ships are not American.
They're not American.
It wasn't just ICE going after run-of-the-mill cruise ship workers. This was an arrest of creepy cruise ship workers who were involved in some bad shit.
They were involved in some bad shit. It looks like
All right,
New York State.
but let's talk about cruises. They are, my wife and I just went on a cruise for our 35th wedding anniversary.
Okay.
And if you are lazy like I am, a cruise is a great vacation. That, a cruise where food is included, entertainment's included, Lots of times the entertainment's not great. This trip, we thought the entertainment was great. There was one like Beatles tribute band that we saw them every night. They were awesome. And so food, swimming pools, if you like that, stopping off in cities, and if you shop around, you can go on a cruise for a cost per night that is roughly the same as staying in a hotel.
Yeah. Oh, no, I've only been on one in my life, and that was with an ex-girlfriend and everything like that. But it was an enjoyable cruise. I might go on another one. I've only been on one in my life. I think I might have gone a small cruise in New York, like a little small, like one of them boat trips. But I think that was like decades ago. But in terms of an official cruise, I've only been on one and everything like that. But I had a good time and might go on another one if given the opportunity. By the way, it looks like ICE was in the news because New York State is set to ban law enforcement, including ICE, from wearing masks. And I know we've talked about this on this network. So they're banning them from wearing masks in a broad immigration deal. So it looks like they're trying to show up their footing with immigration hardliners. But the border czar promises mass deportations are coming to fulfill Trump's promise. And I know that they've already said we've deported quite a few. And it also looks like there are a chance that Trump Council is recommending overhauling the entirety of FEMA. And I know FEMA even helped with some of the disasters we had here, including in the mountain area and even in this area as well. But definitely it looks like he's looking at recommended that FEMA respond to fewer disasters. I thought they were doing a good job responding to the disasters they were responding to, but I guess he wants them to respond to fewer disasters.
Which is bad because a disaster is a disaster. And what? You're just now, let me go back to cruises for one sec, because my wife and I went on this cruise, 5 nights, 2 people, total of $1,500. That's $300 a night, and which is a really good deal. And why it was a good deal is there's a thing called a repositioning cruise. That is, these cruises, they go on like these 10-day trips, like but in between the trips, these big trips that are, pricier often, they have to get the ship from one port to another. So a repositioning cruise is they had to get this ship that we were on from Los Angeles to Vancouver. So instead of running it empty, they turned it into a little 5-day cruise with basically no stops. You just go up the coast to California, into Oregon, Washington, and it's a super cheap. It was like I said, 2 people, $300 a night for the both of us, because it was like a little mini cruise without that many stops. So if you're looking for a bargain cruise, look at these repositioning cruises where they just have to move the ship from one port to another in between the big trips. Also, I would guess that cruises are hurting right now because the economy's a little iffy, and like our ship was half full, which made it more comfortable. When you went to get food, there were no lines to speak of. Anyway,
it looks like Sally Fields is in the news. Apparently she's starring in a Netflix series called Remarkably Bright Creatures and everything like that. So it stars Sally Fields and Lewis Pullman, but I hadn't heard that name in a while. And of course, she was in.
Yeah, we got to see. So I belong to the TV Academy because I worked in TV, and they have these things called FYCs, for your consideration. That's where Netflix, in this case, invites you to come see the movie and then listen to people speak to you after the movie, hoping that you will vote for them when it comes time to give Emmys and Writers Guild or other awards. So we got to go. We got to see the movie. It's about Sally Fields plays a woman who works in an aquarium cleaning up after hours, and she makes friends with an octopus. And because octopuses are maybe the smartest things in the ocean. Maybe not. Maybe whales are smarter, but octopuses have 8 arms, so they can do a lot of interesting stuff. This octopus, based on real stories, was able to climb out of its tank and go eat like shellfish from other tanks, then crawl back into its tank all in the middle of the night. So shellfish, any
Yeah,
octopuses
sounds
are.
like it might be an interesting movie because I am into nature movies and everything. Speaking of nature movies, David Attenborough, who is definitely known as the voice of nature, he turned 100 today and everything like that. So he's been the excited but hushed voice of nature programs, and apparently today is his 100th birthday. So he's one of those centurions now and everything like that. So happy birthday to David Attenborough. And I know that you're friends with, well, you worked with Jimmy Kimmel. And I know you know some of the other talk show host and everything like that. So it looks like we are less than 2 weeks away from the goodbye to Stephen Colbert and everything like that. So I just wanted your take on this. And it looks like Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, John Oliver, Seth Meyers, and David Letterman are to appear on the Late Show during these last few couple of weeks and everything like that. So
I'm
have they not invited you? You're a Jimmy Kimmel writer.
No, I mean I was semi a guest on Kimmel's show when I worked on there. They had, because I'm a weirdo, and Kimmel would have me on every once in a while, especially in the very earliest days of the show, to discuss how weird I am. But no, the thing I find paradoxical about the situation is that you expect the president of the United States to be a moral example to the country, an upstanding guy. And you expect late night TV hosts to be kind of scumbags, to be, Johnny Carson. He wasn't a scumbag, but he was married 4 times. You expect them to be part of the swinging elites. And in the case of Kimmel and Colbert, they are, much more moral and religious than our frickin' president. Kimmel and Colbert are both pretty staunch Catholics. Kimmel took the San Gennaro Festival from New York, which is an annual festival in Little Italy, where they have parades in order to and games and street food to raise money for the Catholic Church. Well, Jimmy Kimmel said we need that in Los Angeles. So 25 years ago, he brought the San Gennaro Festival to LA to raise funds for the Catholic Church. Colbert, also a huge Catholic. So you've got, and also like, and not just fake Catholics, actual practicing, like Menschy people, like morally upstanding people, versus our president, who, if you're at all realistic about him, not so morally upstanding.
Well, not morally upstanding at all, by the way.
I'm hoping that when Colbert, his show goes away, that he drops by Kimmel a lot. All these late night shows are dwindling along with the rest of network TV. I hope that they just start going on guesting all the time on the remaining shows. This happened during the writers' strike that Kimmel and Colbert and Fallon and 2 other late night hosts, they did a podcast called Strike Force 5, where they just all got together and did a podcast, which is a better thing than the talk show wars of the 90s, where Letterman and Leno went after each other all the time. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And I saw that recently. I was wondering what Toby thought about this, but apparently a young team, I think they were volleyball players, came to the White House. I think that was yesterday and everything. And he actually, there was a young lady who was short and was thinking about playing soccer as well, but he tried to discourage her from playing volleyball, even though I understand that setters can be very short and everything like that, and to go into soccer and everything like that. And a lot of people, even on Facebook, were thinking that it was kind of creepy for the parents to allow their kids to get that close to the president and everything like that. But I was wondering, did you see that video, Jacoby, and what was your thoughts about him trying to tell this young girl that she needs to pursue soccer instead of volleyball?
I mean, I didn't watch the video. I saw the stuff about it. I mean, of course, he's going to tell the young girl to do something different. I mean, He's a trash individual. I mean, why are we expecting anything different from him?
All right, so I just looked it up. The height of the top of the volleyball net for women 7'4.5". So yeah, you can be short. Like if somebody can dunk, if a 6'4" man or woman, mostly men, can dunk a 10-foot at a 10-foot basketball hoop, then a woman who's 5'4" with a good vertical can easily,
Here's the
work
thing.
with a net that's less than 7.5 feet tall.
Hold on. Here's the thing. A point guard isn't the same size as a center.
Mm-mm.
There are different positions on the basketball court. There are also different positions on the volleyball court. So you don't have to be the same size. So if you're a great volleyball player, it doesn't matter what size you are, you're a great volleyball player. So the idea that, okay, well, you have to do something else because I'm already judging you, that shouldn't be the way. It should be the president who's telling people to pursue their dreams, to try to continue to push hard and be the best that you are. Not, hey, look, you suck, go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, but the guy is like,
he's a trash individual. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Trump is a trash individual. He's the worst of us.
Kind of, pretty much, yeah.
He's definitely the worst of us and everything like that.
Your sentiments about the Lakers Thunder were borne out again last night, where the Lakers hung with them until the midway through the third quarter. Then they fell apart and they got beaten by 18 again.
I mean, the Thunder are just that much better than the Lakers, and Luka, even again with Luka, if he comes back, because he was injured in a game with the Thunder, even if he comes back, they still have no shot because you have too many bodies to defend. The Thunder also have a dominant presence in the middle with Chet Holmgren. The Lakers have no answer. You have Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is a good player. He can get off and get you a couple points.
He got 31 points.
Yep. Get you a bunch of points, but you still lose by 18.
So I don't know from different teams. All I know is the Lakers barely, but apparently OKC has this deep bench where they have 9 or 10 players who can come in and do,
Yep.
This is what happened. The Lakers run out of gas in the third quarter frequently because LeBron James, 23rd year in the NBA, I think he gets a little tired by the third quarter. So
he does. And that's the thing is you've got 9 guys that are coming at you. 9 guys that are coming at you hard. And as the young people say, pause. But you got 9 guys that are doing that are really good players that could start on every team in the NBA. Your team has 3. And that's just so you can't beat those. You're never going to beat that. You're never going to win that. LeBron would have to have a Herculean effort. Austin Reeves would have to have a Herculean effort. Luka would have to have a Herculean effort. All 3 at the same time. And then you'd have to bank on SGA, Chet Holmgren, Williams, all of them just having bad games, which really isn't going to happen.
So I saw a lot of tweets yesterday after the game about a lot of flopping. Was there a lot of flopping?
LeBron flops a lot. Everybody says that SGA flops a lot as well. So, I mean, that's the worst part of the game, but SGA, I don't think flops as much as LeBron does. LeBron does a lot of it. And he complains about every foul now. I mean, yes, he's older and you're playing a lot of younger athletic people. Yeah, you're still a great player.
LeBron has always complained about that stuff, but
yep.
I think that is, he's 41 years old, he wants to protect himself. And so he wants the refs to be aware when he's getting, manhandled around, because
So LeBron is 280 pounds, and he complains he's manhandled by a dude that's 190 pounds.
All right, but still, but you don't. It may be one of the many reasons for his longevity that he tries to protect his physical integrity. That
he has a phenomenal work ethic. He has one of the most admirable, work ethics. How much he put into his body, how much he takes care of himself. One of the most admirable things. I mean, he should be able to teach a class on it and pass that knowledge down and figure out a way to make it budget friendly so people across the U.S. would be able to take advantage of it.
It's said he spends $1 million a year on physical maintenance.
And if he could figure out a way to make that budget friendly, share that with individuals, I mean, it'd be a phenomenal thing. I mean, he's a phenomenal person. I mean, on the court though, he flops a lot. And that's the biggest problem with LeBron is, everybody says he flops a lot.
Okay.
And he flops a lot.
But again, that's the same thing with SGA. People are saying the SGA flops a lot and gets a lot of cheap calls. James Harden did the same thing. James Harden gets a ton of calls. But, there are going to be a lot of complaints coming from LA because you're playing a juggernaut and you don't have the tools to go up against this juggernaut. So the only thing right now, I'm going to complain. I used to be this. Oh, why are you doing? No, that's unfair. He can't do that.
All right. So I have a question. Then we'll move on from this. So in Major League Baseball, the two winningest teams of the 21st century are the Yankees and the Dodgers because they spend a ton of money. So how did an NBA team in Oklahoma City, not a major city, like a city that most people couldn't even name, how did they get this deep pool of talent?
So you can say the same thing in with football as well, or the NFL. It's not only the way that of course, granted, different sports, the players have different effects on how things are played. In baseball, if you have a dominant pitching staff, your hitting can suffer, but you have a dominant pitching staff that can take you through. If you have a great hitting group, it's a little bit tougher because you can outscore people, but as soon as you run up against a squad, again, that has a dominant pitching staff that can shut you down, you're not going to be able to outscore anybody. Same thing. And so you have your pitchers. That's the heavy part. In basketball, you can have one, two, three superstars. And the rest of the team is, filled out around that. So it's just the way the game is set up. You only have 9 players in you have 11 players in basketball. You have 40-man rosters in baseball. You have 52-man rosters in football.
You're saying there are fewer ducks that you have to get in a row in basketball.
Well, there's also that. Plus, there's how the CBA is done for each of the sports.
Collective bargaining agreement?
Yes, because you have the Players Association and you have the owners and how that's doled out. And so you deal with the salary cap issues. And so in football, that's how you can get teams like, Seattle's winning or other non-big market teams winning in football, non-big market teams winning in basketball. You have that some in baseball, but it's a little bit tougher because you have the way the CBA is done. Also the way the pipeline is done for each team, because each team has a different pipeline.
But it's also the Dodgers last year were the first team in baseball history to gross over $1 billion. And they've got good ownership who they take the money and they plow it back into the team. 20 years ago, the Dodgers had a con man for an owner, this guy, Frank McCord guy, who made his money doing sleazy real estate deals in Boston. And he came in and he kind of stripped the team. He ripped them off. But he got kicked out. And now we have a team that, like, people complain that Dodgers spend too much on, they buy all the best players. And the Dodgers say, well, we make the money from our fans and then we turn it around and we use it to make the team better.
Yep. And honestly, you have other teams and other sports that do the same. Like Jerry Jones spends tons of money. That's one of the number one franchises in all of sports. Makes a ton of money. And he does spend a ton of money, but he does it dumbly. So, I mean, Cleveland Browns. I mean, the new version of the Cleveland Browns, because once Baltimore moved out, that used to be Cleveland Browns, but then they became Baltimore. But when they came back, yeah, they get a ton of money, but they put a whole $250 million guaranteed contract to a person who was already convicted. That was already in sexual assault allegations. But he was a decent quarterback when he was playing in Houston, and now he's just trash. But they have guaranteed money around him, and they can't get rid of him. It was one of the dumbest deals ever in NFL history.
Here's Kim.
Yep. What's up, Kim?
Good morning. I'm just loving all of this conversation about the dumbest deals in history. I mean, it's not as dumb as electing President Trump, but hey, it's one of them, right? So how's everyone doing Friday morning?
Doing good. How are you doing? You got any big plans for Mother's Day, which will be on Sunday? And I imagine that your child will come and celebrate with you and everything like that. So any big plans?
We had an early Mother's Day visit because he has a lot to do right now. So we caught up early. But yeah, I mean, we have a rule in our family. We don't let the holidays dictate everything. We enjoy our time every time we're together, and we experience all of the holidays together, like whenever we can get together. So I established that rule as they started getting older and moving out. Not everyone could get together at the same time. There was always a lot of stress factor of, I can't get there, I'm sorry. And I just finally said, let's just celebrate these events when we're together. Period, not be forced for that day, because I just felt like those Hallmark days were more about generating revenue for the other industries. So, and I don't mind helping. I buy flowers, I do things, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. My husband would always gift me, flowers as always, but also flowers that I could plant. So I still have a lot of the gifts he gave me over the years that I go sit outside and enjoy. I hope you guys are going to have a good Mother's Day weekend. I was keeping up with the Kentucky Derby. It doesn't look like Golden Tempo is going to run the Preakness, but will be doing Belmont. So they just feel like that they need to let him rest. So
that's smart. I mean, because that horse,
we've got a major event getting ready to happen here at Hayti. Hold on a second.
You're right, Rick. Yeah, you're right.
Kim, we've got a major event because actually in about 2 hours, the Apollo bus. So it's Culture in Motion and Kwanzaa Jones, who bought the San Diego Padres. I'm not sure if her husband will be coming, but I think she'll be coming and everything like that. But they will have a rolling museum. So the museum will get here at about 1 o'clock, and people, I think, can walk into the museum from 4 to 6, and then they'll be doing like a outside competition, more like a showcase. I think it'll be less like a competition, because we did a competition when me and Captain did it for about 10 or 11 years, but they will be rolling through. They've been to Phoenix. They were in Los Angeles. They've been on the East Coast in DC, but they're supposed to roll in here in about 2 hours and everything like that. So we're looking forward to them coming here. And I saw that a couple of singers that are known will be performing. I think Tamisha Warden will be one of them, and Miss Poole, who is a R&B singer. So they've got a couple of folks that are known in our community that'll be performing. And I think Deshaun will be emceeing it, and his band Elegant Soul will be doing the house band. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this large bus, because I think it's like 40 feet long and everything like that. So it's bigger than a regular bus, because apparently they have a pop out stage and everything like that.
Yes.
That pop out from the bus, and then the bus has, which I'm sure Jacoby has seen these kind of items before because he's into video games and stuff like that. But they've got like rotating screens and some interactive stuff that's in the bus. So that's getting ready to.
So the bus is a transformer.
Yeah, the bus is basically like a transformer. Exactly.
I've been watching a lot of things like that lately. A lot of things that transform into other uses and purposes. I was working on one the other day. Just some interesting facts too. What's his name? The Secretary Duffy took the train from Pennsylvania up to or down to DC and to celebrate the 250th whatever, and they signed something that looks like the Constitution, but they did it with children. That was pretty cool. But they took the Amtrak and did this big celebration from Pennsylvania to DC. It was very beautiful. And then I don't know, did any of y'all, I've been replaying this because I remember watching it when I was the other night, the correspondence dinner. I caught the interview of Caroline after the correspondence dinner, and I thought, well, I'm going to watch if anyone videotaped the dinner, and I'd heard that there was an incident. But, she said, it's going to be a lot of fun. Shots will be fired. It's your typical Trump type event. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I thought, wow, okay, who knows? Maybe they've got, some kind of stage thing going on. I'll watch it. And come to find out, it really did happen. Shots were really fired, but it wasn't fun. But people were not ducking under the tables. And I know we've talked about the correspondence dinner a few times, but it's her video statement. It's a video statement with an interview. Has anyone made comments about this anywhere?
There was the salad guy at the correspondence dinner. Everybody was running for their lives. One guy just kept eating his salad.
He just kept eating his salad, and there was comments about him because he
in terms of what you're talking about, Kim, no, because what ended up happening is the GOP and the MAGA and the propaganda stuff started pushing out, and that was the whole thing of, Jimmy Kimmel. And that's why nobody really talked about it, because everybody went straight down the Jimmy Kimmel line.
Right. I mean, but here's the video and I remember watching it before I went to bed, and I said, well, I'll catch it in the morning. But I just thought it was interesting. But I noticed that they've been trying to pull all of them or silence them. Some of them you can't hear her talking, but I managed to get a copy. I've learned to just copy everything that looked kind of interesting to me, but.
Oops, a little frozen.
Hold on a second. You need, there you go.
Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. Everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. He is ready to rumble. I will tell you, this speech tonight will be classic Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. Everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. He is ready to.
Okay.
Just shut up now.
This speech tonight will be classic.
But the deal is that none of this, any talking about how Kimmel made the guy, like all this is garbage. In that the guy, the shooter had a plan in place weeks before any of these statements were made. He took a train from Los Angeles, or a set of trains from LA to DC, so he could bring his guns on the train without getting caught with the guns. And then he spent 2 nights at the hotel just to get acclimated, get them used to seeing him walking the halls. So his plan was formulated weeks before, and it took him 5 days to get from LA to. So like anything said the day of or 2 days before is just bullshit. It has no impact on what.
I think it does, because she could have been informed that they were going to be doing this, and her little brain slipped and she let it out. I mean,
just real quick though, this is where the questions come into play though, Rick. And this is where, like I said, I hate dealing with the conspiracy things.
I don't
but
think he did it real for real.
This is where it comes into play. It was weeks before he planned. It was weeks. It took him 5 days to get on the train because he was going to take the train so he couldn't see the guns to get to the hotel. That he did not know that Trump was speaking because nobody knew until 2 days before.
All right, but didn't his manifesto say that he was going after the cabinet, not necessarily Trump?
The cabinet doesn't go to those.
Not usually. They did this time.
So 2 days before is when Trump and the cabinet decided to go. Then on top of that, he's going into a hotel 2 days before a big dinner, and somehow he gets an easy room. And he's able to case the joint in less than 48 hours and figure out all the weak links.
And he got past the first gate. There's more
than
he
ran through the middle. The guy's fast.
That was one area. If you understand that the White House and everything, there's more than one gate you have to go through.
All right, in our last couple of minutes, I want to talk about a huge development in hot lady news.
Okay.
All right. So
I know what you're going to say.
Okay, so Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and
that's not what I thought you were going to say.
All right, a former inmate, somebody who shared prison with her, this former college professor who went to prison for stealing $1 million from her university, was in prison with her and started speaking out about Ghislaine Maxwell getting favorable treatment, and who got punished in prison for bitching about it, is now out of prison and talking about it. And the lady, Julie Howell, is smoking hot. She's ridiculously attractive, and she's going to be all over the news talking about this story. So what this makes me think is that maybe lonely guys should look at getting prison pen pals. That you getting a
women have been doing that for years, right? Pen paling prison.
Yeah, but maybe you should take a look at becoming a pen pal with a woman who's imprisoned. And when I worked on the Man Show, we talked about what you might put up with to get a woman who's more attractive than you, like a missing limb. Would you date a woman who's minus a leg if she were super hot? Yeah, and everybody's like, yes. Would you date a woman who's a certain percent crazy? Yes. But this lady here brings up the possibility that maybe you should date somebody who's in prison, who's getting out in 18 months, and you make friends with her now, and then anyway.
So, I mean, first off, when you're in prison, you're not eating junk food. If you're using the time, I mean, not that I've ever been, but if you think about it, if you're using your time wisely, you're, and I don't know how many years she had, I'll have to look into it, but look at Martha Stewart. She came out, healthier, smarter, richer, wealthier. She invented things while she was in the prison house. But you sleep, supposedly, I mean, if you can sleep, you're getting rest, exercise. It's not fun. But if you, figure it out, I'm sure that you can make the most of it. And if she was highly educated when she went in, she probably did. You've heard. No,
she's married with kids, so you can't date her. But
you can't date her. Women date anyone. Just because they have kids doesn't mean they don't date.
She seems to be happily married.
Right, right.
Toby, you said you knew where I was going. Where did you think I was going in hot lady news?
I forgot what the movies that the young lady played in. She now just decided to go into OnlyFans. I forgot her name.
I can't remember her name.
Because
there's a lot of hot women nowadays. If you look, whether it's they're taking better care of themselves, working out more, using more product. I've noticed a lot of women. I was looking at a police sheriff, I guess, a female sheriff, talking about a shootout. And, she had long eyelashes, fake eyelashes.
Yeah.
Her face looked like the Mar-a-Lago girls. I mean, it's all there.
I mean, two of the most important young politicians in the Democratic Party, Jasmine Crockett and AOC. They're but it's the influencer economy. There are more women on OnlyFans than there are in America than there are doctors or police officers.
Well, you'll hear Trump talk. I have the most attractive law enforcement ever. I have the most attractive, administration ever. It's all about, like you said, influencers, and it's only going to get worse. People are caring more about their appearances, like Kristi Noem, who spent $224 million for her ads. I mean, and they were vanity ads. They weren't ads about her men and women that work for her doing all of this hard work and videos of them working. It was about her. So, I think that maybe one day the brains of America will get cleansed again.
So, plus Ozempic. There are now 15 million Americans. 6% of the population is on Ozempic.
Yeah, they force themselves to go slightly diabetic so that they can get Ozempic and lose weight.
You don't have to be. You can sign up for it. I don't think
you can order it online, but it's not legal. But I know women who buy it online.
Yeah, if you're willing to spend $400 a month, you can get it.
Yeah, but for the most part, women are getting it through prescription, and all you have to be is borderline diabetic. And I've watched women and I've heard them say, well, I was borderline diabetic. And I'm like, I never heard you talk about being borderline. But anyway, I'm not going there.
So well, here's another statistic.
Do what you gotta do, right?
98 million American adults have pre-diabetes. So that's just
a lot. That's a lot. It's just our diet. It's our habits. It's, people are looking for a miracle drug instead of taking care of themselves. They want a pill, a drug, a shot to take care of them. I mean, I get 28 shots a month down my spine. It hurts like hell. Wow. But I do it so I can feel better, so I can walk, so I can breathe.
I'm okay with, like, you've heard the statistics on dieting that fewer than 10% of people can hold on to the gains that they might temporarily get or losses via dieting. So if there's a drug that can help people not have to have an unusual amount of discipline and that has other health benefits, I'm in favor of that.
I think that if you hydrate more, your body wants less of the things that you're looking for. And it's not, you can go get hydration via IV and that will help. And you can get the extra vitamins. But I think Ozempic is very dangerous. I think to use it the way that they're using it, being borderline diabetic, I think it's very dangerous because it was intended for diabetics. So I don't think it should be used for something like that. I think people just need to buckle down. I mean, I have to. I buckle down and I work out. And
here's what AI says, that Ozempic's generally considered safe for managing type 2 diabetes. When you use it off-brand, to look better, it can cause common side effects like nausea and vomiting, along with rare risks such as pancreatitis.
Yeah, I mean, why put your body through that when really all you need to do is, and I know it's hard in a hard-working life to, watch your diet, but when you start eating a little healthier every day, you start craving that more. Put a little cinnamon in your diet that curves that sweet tooth. And I'm not talking about more cinnamon. Do not do more. It could be dangerous, but do, a little bit of cinnamon does curve the sweet tooth. I eat apples every day and I've started adding it to my apples. So There are things you can do, but I think hydration is our biggest problem. I know that I was suffering severe PTSD and the triggers were horrible. And I had an officer say, "Hey, we found out with our military that more hydration and IV hydration has helped them." So I figured, I started thinking about it. When we dehydrate our body, our brains dehydrate too. So I went and started hydrating, and within 2 months, I was on my way to recovery from the PTSD triggers. And by the third month, I didn't have them anymore.
And you don't
I
need to,
feared them, but I didn't have them.
you don't need to get an IV treatment. You just need to drink 2 more glasses of water a day.
Right. But sometimes I'll tell you what, I drank a lot of water and it still didn't seem like enough. But I tried it and it worked, but it wasn't injecting another drug in my body. It was, just, and I drink milk now every day, and that helps because milk is the top 3 hydration ratio. So, once I got myself balanced out, I don't do that anymore. Would I go back and do it? Yeah, but they jumped the price from $50 a bag to $200. So
It's crazy.
I don't do that anymore. But, 4 years ago after my husband died, it was only $50 a bag. Now it's $200 a bag. But I would say be very careful with Ozempic. There's another diet fad going on where people put on this pair of underwear and it supposedly, vibrates your body and makes you sweat. And in 14 days, you've lost 200 pounds. I don't believe it. But, people
but tight pants do function as a reminder.
True. This one just vibrates and makes your body work, but it's a pair of underwear that you put on and it does something to your body.
Instead of doing that, like go to the thrift store and for $8 buy a pair of pants that have a waistband that's like an inch or half an inch smaller than your usual waistband.
Or, my favorite thing is they have these waist for back support too, these waist like a
weight belt,
girdle, a belt, but thicker. It's about this tall and you can hook it, right? And I did that for a while and it helped me lose a little bit of weight. They've got other ways. I would be very leery of Ozempic as a weight loss because there's just been too many dangerous reports. But it's been wonderful talking with you guys. I look forward to seeing everyone Monday.
One more caveat. If you got high blood pressure, maybe don't go the tight pants route because tight pants will raise you.
Be very careful with that. Anything can be good or bad for your health, and everything needs to be measured in moderation. Listen to your body. That's what I tell people. When you do something, listen to your body. It tells you everything you need to know. Sometimes we just don't listen. But folks, don't forget it's Mother's Day. Hug your mom, hug each other, be kind to everyone. And we'll see you Monday. Until then, stay safe. Take care.
Take it easy.
Hey.